Now, to be a little bit more specific in what we're looking at of identification in the classroom, what I've presented here for you is basically a list, okay? And this list looks at a whole bunch of differing descriptors of these kids in the classroom. So for example, that first one has difficulty following simple directions. So you'll notice these particular children, when you say open your blue book to page 7, complete activity, A, F, and M, for example, or even A, B, and C, they'll still be the kids sitting there with the blue book, hopefully the blue book open. Sorry, miss, what did you say? Sorry, sir, I don't know where to go from here. They can't remember what's asked. They're the children and the adolescents that will constantly say, sorry, what did you say, miss? Where am I up to again? Has difficulty concentrating. So they look very, very distracted. They may be rubbing their eyes, rubbing their heads, feeling that anxiety. Their anxiety levels will start to pick up. So you might see them, starting to get fidgety in the classroom. They're easily distracted in noisy and busy environments, and this is one that's very debatable for particular schools. We have this need and desire for open plan learning environments at the moment, and in another presentation that I do on differentiation in material and environment, we talk about the detriment of noisy and busy environments and open plan learning environments to the learning process. And I give you a lot of visuals and ask you how you feel in those environments as well. So we have to be mindful of noisy and busy environments within our classrooms. And these kids, and most kids will probably be very fidgety in these types of environments. So these children also lose track in complex tasks. So that's when you're giving them, again, very detailed descriptors of what they need to do. And you will notice that they do start to become very fidgety. Again, in the other course that I do on differentiation in environment and materials, what we look at is standing desks and giving kids other tools so that they can be fidgety, because fidgety is not a negative. Fidgety tells us that we're either overstimulated or understimulated in our learning. So we really need to be mindful of how we view a fidgety child as well. So they also may have reserved behaviour or limited participation in our class, and I like to call that the lights on, nobody's home child. Those children are the ones that are sitting there, they're looking at you, but you know that they're not engaged, you know that they're not learning, you know that they've just shut down because either the environment is not suiting them, or alternatively the way that we're delivering our material is not appropriate for those kids. These children also don't complete tasks on time. So you're giving them an assessment to do and you'll say 10 minutes to get it done. And you'll come back 10 minutes later and they're still sitting there and they've just written their name. So we've got to be mindful of these particular tasks that require set time limits. I'm not saying don't give a time task, maybe saying, okay guys, you've got this activity to do now. If you could please get it done as quickly as you possibly can. So you can be standing in the corner checking your time, checking your watch. That's absolutely not a problem, but be mindful of what we actually give to the students. So these children also need constant prompting. Come on, little Joey, hurry up. Little Joey, come on, mate, we're almost there. Keep going, you can do it. Gives up easily. They have real difficulty learning their times tables. And so remember, we're crossing over the phonological and the visuospatial sketch pad here. Difficulty learning times tables, difficulty with sequencing, forgets what is read after each individual word, forgets what is read after each sentence. So those children that you can read a word from page to page, and I hear this from parents specifically all the time, and they'll say to me, look, Amanda, they knew the word on this page and I simply turned the page and they forgot it from page to page. And that's more about how we're actually encoding that information in the beginning rather than what the child's doing then. So we need to get it right from that initial teaching process so they're not forgetting it. So forgets what is read after each individual word, the sentence, struggles with comprehension, difficulty getting to the point in writing and tests, difficulty completing tests in strict time limits, handwriting is difficult to understand. So we know all those kids, that have that really poor handwriting, write big, cannot differentiate between capital letters and small letters, writes down the page, not across the page. So these ones here, and that are all just indicators for us, okay? This does not necessarily mean that the child has a working memory deficit. These are simply indicators for you to start to go, I may know that particular child.